So, Meg, how do I look? My hair okay and everything?
Your hair, you look good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ultra. Today we have a extra special guest with us, Jeep Sullivan. I know I know y'all all know Jeep. We are actually shooting this in the middle of the Wounded Warriors. I think they're out there hunting right now, hopefully having some success. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But so we stole him away for a couple of minutes today. We're going to be in 2 Samuel. Today specifically, we're going to be in the first 5 chapters. And leading up to, and you can share a little bit about this because I know tomorrow is kind of going to be what you're speaking on. Leading up into 2 Samuel, we see a lot of things transition. You want to maybe kind of explain some of those things?
So tomorrow, without kind of just going over everything I'm going to be saying, as 1 Samuel ends, David is, I guess the word exile, man, he's kind of pushed off into the Philistines.
He sure is.
He's
has to act like a crazy man.
Slobbering, acting crazy, and trying to just, actually just make it in life. Mm-hmm. I mean, God's already told him he's going to be the king. He's the one in line to be the king, and Saul's kind of winding down. Saul knows his kingship is coming to an end. The last chapter, chapter 31, is when Saul, gets killed in battle. And David, being the man that he was, being a man after God's own heart. And then as we go into 2 Samuel, this is going to play out. It's going to talk about David's life, beginning as a king and all the troubles and family problems that he has.
Well, before we get there, let me kind of transition into what we see in 2 Samuel. You see he immediately is success. Yeah. He's been running, and then 1 Samuel chapter 1 through 5 is all about he conquers Jerusalem. He's the king of Judah. Now he's about to be the king of Israel. David is made king. He's successful. And my question to you then is, as an application in our own lives, how can we follow God through not only, because sometimes now I feel like it may be easier to follow God when the chips are down, when it's hard, and we are forced to rely on God. Yeah. But now when everything's looking good.
Well, and I think that it all goes together, because as you look at our lives, the bad times may precede the good times, or the good times may precede the bad times. We never know, where we're at. It's like the old saying, if you're not in a valley right now, get ready. You may be on a mountaintop, but you're going there pretty soon for that testing, and for God to, produce the character and the strength in us that we need for other people around us, to carry on and become better Christians, better followers of Christ.
True.
So at chapter 30 of 1 Samuel, the Amalekites came, took all their stuff.
They did. Yep.
They ransacked Ziklag, burned it to the ground. That was his place. That was his home. So he went from, being on the mountaintop to being real low, real quick. His guys were going to kill him.
Yep.
So he got out of that. And the way he did it, though, he relied on God.
He did.
And that's the thing for all of us, I guess, for us to see and to listen to in the Old Testament, is that that's our life. It's to just, whatever life throws at us today, when we get up, put our boots on today, whatever it is, God's with us.
Yep.
And if it's the ups and whatever it is, the ups and downs, He's with us, and He expects us and He wants us to, be ready for battle. Like the warriors that I get to work with all the time. Yeah. They got to be ready 24/7.
They never know what their day is coming.
I mean, you think about our lives. There's so many times we've been lulled to sleep. The American Christians have been lulled to sleep. And then if we go through some trauma or some bad part, we feel like, oh me, oh my. Why is God picking on me? He's not. It's our lives to understand that the tough times bring us closer to Him. And that's what we see in David's life and in Saul's life too.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about how, Saul was this great person, a head above all the other beautiful man,
Yeah.
beautiful example, just a
Made
good
King
looking,
early.
handsome
Yeah.
guy. And then he goes from, being God's anointed, wanting to be what God wants. And then he
Having it all stripped.
Yeah, pride kind of comes in and he falls.
Yep.
And that's for all of us, for all of us to remember each day is that we got to rely on God for everything. Not just in the good times, but in the
Yeah.
bad times.
Yes. And
not just in the bad times, in the
but
good
in the
times.
good times,
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, sometimes in my experience, I've found that it's easier to rely on God when it's hard. But then when it's easy, it's like, okay, well, I don't need you. I got everything figured out. And
Yep.
so what you're saying is, we got to be ready in the good times and in the bad times to strap up our boots. That spiritual warfare is real,
That's right.
and that there's an enemy out there seeking to devour us and destroy us. And so it is about relying on God in the good times and
Yep.
in the bad times that really keeps us centered.
And when you think about these two characters, Saul and David, really both of the men in their lives were wanting to be God's men.
Yeah.
And then the stuff that goes on in our lives, we have to make decisions. Is that really what I want to be? Mm-hmm. And as we're going to see in the first part of 2 Samuel, David, he's all right. I'm ready to take what God wants me to be and be the best at it I can be. Now he's going to fail. There's going to be a bunch of places in 2 Samuel where he messes up.
True.
But as you think about our lives compared to David, I want to be a man after God's own heart. When I die, that's what I want my grandkids. I want my daughter and my son-in-law and my son, my grandkids and my wife to remember me, my friends. That's what I want them to remember. That through the thick and the thin, Jeep Sullivan wanted to be a man after God's own heart. And that's what I want to live my life for. And that's the way all of us should do. And I fail just like, all of us. We mess up, we think things, we do things, we say things. That at the end of the day, we look back on and say, golly, how dumb was that? But that's not what I want for my life. And David didn't either, neither did Saul. Mm-hmm. And
Good point.
I think about these guys, these men, from the smallest little character like Jabez to, these characters we're talking about right now.
So true.
We all got a part in this thing called life that's going to help somebody or hinder somebody. Mm-hmm. And boy, these characters had a whole lot, for
It's
us
the
to
people
look
of the
at.
fine print,
Yeah,
because we get called about David,
Yeah.
Saul, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But I love how you bring up Jabez, and there's
Yeah.
so many other people that
One
come into
little
play.
teeny part in a little bird.
Yeah, but God
And there
still,
was.
his eyes travel to and fro, looking for those who do
Yeah.
righteous. Well, look, thank y'all so much for tuning in with today's episode of The Ultra. Tomorrow, we are going to have Jeep back again, and thank you for being with us,
You're
by the
welcome.
way. We're going to be in chapters 6 through 10 tomorrow, so hopefully you're on this journey with us. 5 chapters a day for 100 days, reading over half of our Bible, every single genre, and I'm super excited about the journey tomorrow. We're going to be in the next 5 chapters, and until then, we'll see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.